something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear.
Hello, welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm John Stiles, and today our candidate is Richard Hart. Richard?
John, pleasure to be here with you, and
I know.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Richard, you're running for the U.S. Congress in Nevada in District 3.
3, correct.
Okay. Why?
I'm running because all my life I've been passionate about working with people, helping people, ever since I was a kid. When I was 8 years old, my first campaign I knocked on doors with my parents was Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and going into the after he got killed, unfortunately, was Hubert Humphrey. And all my life, when I was since I was a elementary school, I was a student intern, first for a former state assemblyman, and then for a local U.S. congressman. When I was in my last year of grade school, I served on the Monterey Park Youth Commission, and now there's no more youth commissions throughout the country because of lack of funds.
Right.
I applied to be a page at the 1976 convention, Democratic Convention in New York, and I also was second runner-up. I applied to be a Capitol page when I was in high school. So I've always been passionate with helping other groups and those in need. And at the federal level, there's a lot that I am familiar with, senior care and people really in need. My father was a labor organizer, and that led me to what I'm doing now.
So you're a strong union supporter then, I would imagine?
Strong union supporter. Believe in unions. Saw a lot of people that my father would go organize their businesses and hospitals, and people without that union would have been out of a job.
Yes.
And so I am a strong believer in the unions. We need them even more now than ever.
Quick question. Is this your first time running for elected office?
This is my first time running for elected office here in Nevada.
In Nevada,
I've been a resident for over 22 years in CD3.
Right.
It is the second time I'm running for office.
Okay.
I ran for office in Monterey Park, California, for city council there.
Gotcha.
So I'm familiar with
the
politics
whole process.
and the whole
Gotcha.
process of it.
So I personally am a veteran. So any candidate that's running for office, I want to know, what are your stance on veterans issues? What do you think that you can bring to the table for veterans like myself?
I'm a son of a veteran, a World War II veteran, and there are a lot of issues that can be, naturally like everything else, that can be better.
Of course.
And government should not have their hands tied into it. But one of the things I am doing as I go forward in my campaign is I am bringing veterans to the table, where I am going to have them serve as an advisory board, not only to my campaign, but once I'm elected, to work with those groups to put something out there for veterans. And I, even though I'm running for office, I am not have the knowledge in every angle.
Right.
And it's a matter of bringing.
So you're not smarter than the generals?
Not smarter than the generals.
Okay.
And
Just
so it's a
checking.
matter, John, of bringing everybody to the table and listening and saying, okay, now what can we do? And that's what I intend to do, is listen and to be their voice.
And tying in with that, my opinion, is not only veterans health care, but health care in general, because my experience here in Nevada has been, well, here in Las Vegas, has been that the Veterans Administration here and the care that I get as a veteran far outshines anything I've ever had in the private sector. I know getting into the system is tough and takes time. That's the hard part. But once you're in, I think that we have one of the better healthcare systems. So I'm also a senior. and I'm also, if I did not have the health care from the Veterans Administration, I don't know what the hell I'd be doing.
Right. And John, we should not have all that red tape and trying to get into the system.
Well, I can understand a certain amount.
Right.
Number one, you want to be qualified.
Right.
And there are, unfortunately, people who will try to take advantage of the situation. But it just seems to me that we go a little bit too far.
Too far, and I agree with that.
Right.
And in terms of about health care, especially for seniors, I'm for actually Medicare for all, the single payer system. I don't see that it's a privilege for everybody to, I can have insurance and you don't. It is a right for every person in this country to have health insurance. And do you realize we're the only major country in the world that doesn't do that? I mean, Canada and the United Kingdom does. We've got to get back to that. We've got to make sure that every citizen, every person that lives in this country, every young person, that they are covered.
I've had to file bankruptcy twice in my life because of a lack of health insurance.
And that, I hear that all the time. I'm the son of, my mother was 88 years old when she passed away 2 years ago. And bills can go up. I mean, my brother and I are the ones that took care of her health. When she was in the hospital, everything was paid for, everything was fine. When she would leave the hospital, her supplies, everything was out of pocket, including having a 24/7 nurse in the house.
Right.
That came out of pocket to assist us with her and everything else. She was naturally on Social Security, but her Medicaid wouldn't kick in because she made too much money. $1,000 a month.
Yeah,
and after
how do you
copay,
live on that? I don't care, being a single person or whatever. It's I don't see that anyone can live on that kind of.
And when you get older, what people don't realize is that gets taken by copays, doctors, prescriptions, and unless they have somebody who they can actually, a son, a daughter, they can't afford to pay their rent. They can't afford to pay their utilities. And so that is a serious issue. And
I think from what I'm hearing, maybe I'm wrong, but my opinion is, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that we should be working towards making more people productive members of society. That, I mean, if I'm making good money, I'm spending money. And if I'm spending money, the economy does well. And if the economy does well, we all do well.
Yes, and that's why one of the things I am for is to raise the minimum federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. I'm even for it, actually, and I'm going to be probably the first candidate running for in my district that would be willing to see it go up to $18 an hour. Because like you said, if I'm making a bigger paycheck, you know what, I'm going to go over here to Target, or I'm going to go buy more groceries. I'm going to spend more.
Yes.
And not only am I benefiting, but small businesses are benefiting.
Your community is benefiting.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it is such a simple fact of economics that I can't see how anybody can deny that. Right. And they say that, oh well, if we raise the minimum wage, then all the prices are going to go up. You know what? The prices are going up anyway. And when was the last time the minimum wage was increased?
Oh, it's been years.
7, 8, 9, 10 years ago at least.
Yes.
And I've been in construction most of my life, and retired now, of course. But the people who are working in that industry are still making the same amount of money that they were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, the cost has gone up. I mean, think about gas prices, food prices, and all of that 20 years ago compared to what it is today. So what their dollar is worth today is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
why. Where's all this money going? Who's benefiting from that?
Right, nobody. So, I mean, small businesses are losing out, as well as the people themselves. I mean, they're working 2, 3 jobs, and also who's suffering?
Right.
They're children are suffering. You know, they're home unattended, and after school programs are being cut out, and teachers, I mean, more and more teachers, I know some, and out of their own paycheck, they're buying books and crayons and stuff for their students because there's just no money. And this has to change. I mean, it wasn't like that when we were growing up.
No. Teachers beat the crap out of me because I was a wise guy.
Absolutely.
One of the other things that's kind of a hot button right now is the LGBTQ community. Now, if you're going to be dealing with issues at the federal level, what is your stance there?
I am for the LGBTQ community. In fact, I'm not the type of candidate who's just talking about it. I'm walking the walk. When I announced my candidacy for U.S. Congress here in CD3, I announced it in front of Stonewall the end of June. I was actually the first candidate to come out on either side.
Gotcha.
But I'm running because I want to represent everybody, even those that don't vote for me. Because when we're elected, we're the representative of all the people, the LGBT community, the Muslim community, the Buddhist community, the Hispanic community, independents, Republicans, not pick and choosing.
Right.
And I intend to fight for everybody. And I see going around as I go throughout my district and all over Nevada, there's a lot of segments in our population that are forgotten about. The transgender community.
Right.
I've recently attended the Transgender Pride. And do you know there was not one other candidate running for office that was there? And they feel left out, and they have the right to feel left out when they're being ignored.
Right.
As well as the Muslim and Buddhist communities and the Jewish communities. I can go on and on and on.
What do you think we had in the last presidential election over 100 million registered voters that did not show up to vote. The turnout was 46.7% of registered voters actually voted. What do you think that you can do to help change that? How would you?
By reaching out, by being visible in every group that there is. Because what is happening more and more, and I hear it every day as I'm out in the campaign trail, is that their reaction is nobody comes to us. Nobody asks us what's our concern. And so because of that, they decide, well, this is who's running and this is who's running and they're promising this, but we're just not going to vote.
Right.
We've got to start going out. We start to need to reach those people, those communities. And once they see that there is somebody who's fighting for them, somebody who's saying, what can I do for you? They're going to go out and vote.
But the system is rigged. My vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter. The government's going to run in everything. So how do you respond to that?
How do I respond to this? This is a good question, and I'm going to tell you. Right now, for instance, there's 7 of us running in CD3. We all have filed with the Federal Election Commission. We all have our committees set up, but we do not file to get on the ballot here in Nevada until March the 5th to the 12th. I intend to be there on March the 5th to file. But already there are anointed candidates, and I see more and more with the voters as I knock on doors, and their response is, we don't want anybody but the establishment. We don't want to see candidates that have $1 million, and yet it's already being done. There are candidates in my race and other races that have been the so-called anointed. That the Triple C, which is the Democratic Congressional Caucus Committee, has already come and put money into their campaign, that are receiving PAC money, money from corporations. So
that's another hot button for me.
Right.
And that is campaign funding. Where do you get your money from?
I get mine from small donors. I've got an ACT Blue where you can donate $10, $15, $20, as well as doing meet and greets, and a fundraiser that's going to be held on January the 18th, which is $25 a ticket. But they can go on to my Act Blue site and starting today, make a $10 donation or $20 donation. But don't sit down. You know, I hear voters saying, well, this person is turning me off because now they've got the anointment and they've got the money and they're receiving PAC money. That's not a grassroots campaign.
No, I know. And that's, you know, it's he who has the money makes the rules.
So what the voters need to start doing is really paying attention to what we stand on, okay? Not necessarily the person with the anointment and the person who has all this money coming in. They're not necessarily going to get it. And I'll give you an example. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but after he lost the nomination, I supported Hillary Clinton. I have never supported a Republican, nor would I. I am loyal to my party in terms of candidates. May not agree 100%, but and Bernie Sanders fought to make change.
Right.
And could not support the Republican agenda or Donald Trump because he wasn't fighting for that. He was fighting for change, but within the party. And so I supported Hillary Clinton, and we saw this Senator Clinton raised a lot of more money than Donald Trump, but people felt ignored.
Right.
And so we ended up with who we have in the White House, and that's got to change within our party. We've got to reach out to every segment, every group. And that's just an example that it doesn't matter how much money you have coming in, it's the voters, and every voter that you talk to, that's going to make a difference.
So it sounds to me like you support campaign reform.
I support campaign reform 100%.
Can you give me an
We
idea
need to cut out completely, like for instance with the CCC coming in and already putting their money on one Democrat over other Democrats. That's not the way it is.
Where does that money come from?
That comes from money that the Democratic Congressional Caucus Committee raises all around the country. They center it on different candidates who they feel are viable.
So even before the primaries, before people get a chance to, you know, say, hey, here's my choice for this particular party, this is the guy I want to see in there, they're already making the decision on who they want to support.
Already making that decision, which is what is turning off voters.
Yes.
Because they see that and they're already like, what is going on here? Is this election over with? It's far from over with. And I'm against PAC. I'm not taking PAC. I'm against corporate money.
Define corporate money. And the reason I ask this is I'm a small businessman.
Right.
Now, this is a corporation. I mean, regardless of how small it is, there's only two of us, you know, but I'm still a corporation. And if I wanted to donate to a campaign, what is your, please kind of, can you clarify that for me?
When I'm talking about major corporations is MGM,
gotcha.
You know, Walmart, major auto companies.
So should there be a limit? Should there be a dollar amount that
I would suggest, I know they want to get involved, okay, and everybody has a right to get involved, but yeah, there should be a limit.
And I think there used to be was about 10 grand, wasn't it?
Right, and I would say it needs to actually be less than that, because what I see more and more is the person who's taking money from corporations, and I don't mean like you. You're a small
no. I just want to clarify
is that their hands are already tied.
Right.
And that's what the voters look at, is why didn't my congressman or U.S. senator or state member vote this way? But because if you're a company and you gave $25,000 to a candidate, guess what?
That candidate owes me $25,000 worth of something.
And so we've got to cut that out. We've got to take out PAC money, because PAC money...
because a PAC is only going to give you money because you're going to do something that they want.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And PACs are not limited on what they can give a candidate.
That's, yeah.
And so, and that's money that I get right now, or any candidate gets in their campaign committee, is reported and tabulated by the Federal Elections Commission.
And
there are rules on it.
You don't have that in a PAC, do you?
Don't have that in a PAC.
In other words, you don't know who is putting money into that PAC.
Right. And I want to know, even as a voter, even if I wasn't running for office,
right,
I want to know what you're getting, and I want to know who's giving it to you. And we've got to get that out. I mean, candidates are saying I'm grassroots, and we've got to do campaign reform, but yet they're getting PAC money. And
right,
that's a serious issue.
Well, and that to me, it sounds like they're just paying lip service, and because that's what people want to hear, and they're not serious about doing it. So if they were serious about doing it, and we have unfortunately got ourselves into a situation in our political arena that that's the way it is. We let it happen. I mean, Citizen United, took away all of those limits on what a corporation could give and how much they could, and the reporting issues and all of that. So if you're one person, so you go and you represent the people of your district, what you have here's the question, and it's a difficult question to ask, and it's a difficult question to answer because of what's going on in Alabama, for example. Your constituents put you in office for a specific reason. They want something.
Yes.
So your party says, no, we want this. Now, which way do you go? Because you said earlier, you will support your party,
right?
But your constituents, regardless of what their political
country first.
Okay, thank you.
And
that's
if it used to be that way, John. And I'll tell you what, if years ago, if it was the way it is now, we would have had Richard Nixon continue office. He would have never been thrown out.
Right.
It is party after the country.
Yeah.
And that's what I intend to do.
There is anyone who talks at all or even makes any kind of reaching out to compromise or work with someone from the other party or another party, they're ostracized. It's like we cannot come. So how can we have two conflicting views here? How are we ever going to get back on path?
I am just one person, but I intend to make a change, and that is by standing on my principles. That is fighting for the people in CD3, the state of Nevada, and our country. And I will fight to see that other candidates, after I'm elected, run, and that I will support. And we've got to get back to that. We've got to get away from what we're doing, because you know what? It's going to cause more problems. And we're going to end up in a disaster. I'm running for the young people. This is their future. This is their country. And I like to be able to give back and leave this country and leave our state and my community better shape than it is right now.
Well, I think you said you're only one person, and that's true.
Right.
However, if I see somebody, I know this is kind of from left field, but I go to the supermarket and I'm shopping, and I see somebody take their cart back to where the carts are supposed to go.
Yes.
You know what I do for those people? I applaud them. And I say, hey, great job. That's a cool thing to do, because it's the right thing to do. And somebody else is going to see that person do that, and they're going to go, oh, I should take my cart back too.
And it's the same way in politics.
That's exactly right. I got this guy standing up. Look, he's standing up and making a stand. Well, maybe I should too.
Yes, and that'll also, voters will start seeing that.
Yes.
And if I win this election, that'll also encourage other people around this country, around our state, to say, wow, we can do the same. You know,
my vote does count.
Does count. You know,
the system isn't really rigged. That's what they want you to believe.
Yes, and we've had 2 presidents who have asked people to take part. John F. Kennedy, when he asked,
Yep.
don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And President Obama, the same thing, when he said, get out and vote.
Yeah.
Don't complain, go vote. And so I've answered the call to duty. And I'm hoping that my running and my being elected will encourage other people to get, it doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
Whether you're 25 years old or you're 72 years old. Look at our president. Get involved. And, you know, within our party, the different Democratic clubs cannot endorse, which is good.
Right.
Okay. But the members of those clubs can start to participate and support the candidates that they want.
But isn't that the whole concept behind our system?
Right.
You know, it's like I always thought, or I was taught, and I believed that it's majority rules, and that the majority of the people want this, then that's what we should have.
Right.
And
But
if you have
everybody-
80% of the people, recently Nevada approved recreational use of cannabis
Yes.
because that's what the people wanted. So you still have some individuals who are saying, no, we got to do something to stop this. Well, wait a minute, that's what the people said they wanted.
Yes.
So why do you want to take that away from them? Why do you want to say, no, we know what's best for you? You know? So I hope you get up there and slap the crap out of some of those people.
I intend to. But, John, and back to what I was saying, though.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get us sidetracked.
No, that's fine. And I enjoy, you know, I've got to say, I hope that more and more people in your profession do this with all of us as candidates running for office on down, because we've got to educate the voters.
This is basically all I've got, you know. I mean, I don't have a lot of money. I can't go out there and spend a lot of money on politics and stuff. But the whole purpose of this Meet the Candidate is so that people will know who Richard Hart is.
Right.
Okay, and they can make the decision. Okay, I like what this guy stands for. I like what he says. I like his message. I'm going to vote for him. Or they can say, this guy's full of crap. I don't want anything to do with him, because there are some of those out there. But it is, and I've gotten some great response from since we started doing this less than 2 weeks ago. And I'm getting inquiries and people who want to come in and share their stance and what they're going to do. And that's what we need. We need to educate the voters and let them know that they have a say. And I mean, think about it. You have 10 people in a room, okay? So in the last election, 4.5 people in that room decided what was going to happen for all 10 people.
Right.
And that's not what we're supposed to be doing. That's not what the Constitution is about. That's not what our forefathers set up. They set up, okay, we've got checks and balances. Sorry, never mind. I'm getting off on a tangent here.
No, I'm enjoying this. Are you running against me?
No, I'm not running for anything. I don't want to run for anything. I think I'm smarter than that. I'll be the power behind the throne. How's that?
But no, you are right. And this is, you know, I am running because I see all of this, and we've got to start doing something, because if we don't, we are going into dangerous waters. And that's just it. We're going to have more and more voters who are going to sit at home. I mean, in my primary in CD3, it's a very low turnout in the primary.
Right.
And I'm hoping that my running will bring out more voters, that we will register more Democrats, as well as a general election. I mean, we've got to get everybody involved, because we can make change. The voters can make change. You know, we're leaders, but again, we're your public servants.
I'm going
to serve
to
at the will of the people.
Can I change that phrase a little bit? You are representatives.
Yes.
And that's what you're supposed to be doing, is representing our wishes.
Yes.
And that's what I haven't seen the last few years. But one thing that has got me gratified, and the reason that I'm doing this Meet the Candidate show, is because I'm seeing more and more people like yourself that are saying, hey, wait a minute, we need to do something here, and it's about time that we, the people, start representing we, the people.
Yes, and that is...
And not have my boss or the guy who owns Walmart or the guy who owns, Kmart or whatever, those people are not our leaders or our representatives. They are their representative. They're representing themselves. And so it's gratifying to see people like yourself that are willing to, because it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy running for office. And
you know what? It is worth it, though.
Of course it's worth it.
It's worth it. It's a joy to be able to get out there and talk to people and really see what's going on. I mean, this is an experience. And, I intend to win this race. But if I don't, I am staying in the political arena.
Good.
I'm not
I
saying
hope so. Yeah.
This is it. I will continue to fight. I will continue to be vocal on issues that I feel strong about, that I'm passionate about. But again, I intend to win this campaign.
Well, and even if you're not successful in this campaign, I hope that you're not going to give up on any future. No. Because there's a lot of people who didn't make it the first time, but second or third or fourth time they finally were able to make a difference, and that's to me. I know a lot of people said, well, he's lost the last 3 elections. Why is he running? Because he cares.
Former President Bill Clinton, I don't know if many people remember this, but after he got elected in Arkansas, he lost his re-election campaign, came back and ran for governor and became president. President Kennedy, when he tried to get on the ticket for vice president in '56, he lost that bid.
Yeah.
So
I like to use Babe Ruth.
Yes.
And what people aren't really aware of is Babe Ruth was not only the home run king, he was also the strikeout king.
Right.
He struck out. But the lesson there, I think, is that when it's your turn to bat, get up there swinging.
Right, it makes you better.
Yeah, because and that's what made him stronger, is he was trying every time. He didn't get discouraged. He didn't get, and that's what we need. We need people like yourself that are willing to get up there and say, here's what I stand for. It's your turn to make a decision. So I appreciate that.
And I thank you for allowing me to share my platform, or part of my platform, actually.
Well, there's no way we can cover everything in this amount of time.
And that's why it's important for people to go on to Richard Hart for Nevada, where my campaign keeps it up to date with events that I'm going to and our own event, and go online and buy your ticket. And there I will discuss my entire platform.
Great.
And I will also answer questions with the voters that are there, and I will listen to them. And I also intend to have a few people within our community to go in and touch on issues that are going on today. So it's worth $25 to go and listen and start seeing where I stand.
I'm going to ask you one quick question, and then I'm going to let you finish up with whatever you want to talk about. And this is an issue for me because my elected officials are almost impossible to get a hold of or to get any time with. Unless you've got some money or some juice, you're not getting in their office. So what are you going to do about that?
What am I going to do about it, John?
If I call you up, or one of your constituents calls you up and says, hey, I have a problem or I have an issue, can you help me?
I will talk to you. Doesn't matter if you're going to give me $100,000, which I'm not going to take.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get it from me.
But I am your representative, and I don't care if you're a homeless person down the street or if you're a senior citizen.
What about if I didn't vote?
I am still your representative.
Okay.
And so whoever calls
But you still have to vote, suckers.
Whoever calls my office and wants to speak to me, I will speak to them. And my staff better put them on the phone.
I do realize that our elected officials get busy. And this was, I'm sorry, I told you one question, but I'm going to make it two. What I've heard from those people in office and those people running for office, the one thing that they hate more than anything, and the one thing that takes up their time, is fundraising. That most of their time, a majority of their time, is spent getting ready for the next election, raising funds, and campaigning. And how do we get away from that?
You know, I would like to see, rather than, we just had the 16 election for the House.
Right.
Now we're coming into 18. In order to get into 18, very shortly after you get elected or re-elected, you've got to start raising money for the next.
Yeah.
I would like to see, and some may disagree with me, and some may agree with me, a 3-year term in the House rather than 2 years. That gives candidates and our current congressional people a year really to go without fundraising. I mean, U.S. Senate is 6 years.
How did we do it before? How did we do it before? I mean, it's and I do understand that you everything that you do in one sense is campaigning.
Right.
But instead of, I think we've gotten away from, I'm going to vote for this guy for re-election because he's done a good job. And now it's, well, he's got more ads on TV than this guy.
Right. We've got to cut down in terms, make a limit on what every candidate can raise.
I guess it goes back to what you talked about, the campaign reform.
We've got to make it even.
Yeah.
So not that one candidate raises $75,000 and one raised $1.5 million. There has to be a limit all across the board.
Is it possible? Is it possible? And I know when you fill out your income tax every year, do you want to donate $1 or $2 to your candidates and whatever? Is it possible that, okay, we got 5 people running for office. You each get this amount of money. That's it. This is what you get to run your campaign and to do all your advertising, and that's it. Everybody gets the same, so you better spend it wisely.
Yes.
But do you think that would have any effect? Is that a solution? Is it oversimplified?
That would be a massive solution. It would also, because if you've raised $1.5 million and I've raised, say, $75,000, guess who's going to flood the TVs?
Well, yeah.
Yes. So we've got to make it even.
Right.
And give everybody the same chance to be able to, everybody who's in a race, whether you're running for governor or state senate or U.S. Senate or Congress, everybody the chance to get their message out the same. Actually, we're all running for, in the House of Representatives, congressional person doesn't get $1 million and some dollars.
Right.
So we're raising money, candidates are raising money more than what it pays.
See, and that's always been suspect.
Yes, there's a problem there.
It's like, why is this guy spending $6 million to get a job that only pays $150,000 a year or $85,000 a year? Something doesn't make sense there.
Yes. And so I'm complete for reforming the process.
Okay, and Richard, I'm sorry we got to sidetrack so much, but is there anything else that you'd like the people to know about you and your campaign and what you do if you look into and talk to the voters?
John, I first want to say thank you for having me here.
You're quite welcome.
And this election is a crucial election, not because I'm in the campaign. I'm running for you, and I'm running for everybody. I'm running for the transgender community, the LGBTQ community, the Muslim, Buddhist community, our Hispanic community, our African American community, the young people, our seniors, our veterans. I intend to do something. I intend to be your voice. I will be visible. And I'm passionate about wanting to represent everybody. And but the time is now. The time is for you, the voters, the people, to get involved. Go to my Act Blue, make a $10, $20 donation. We're trying to come up in the next month with another $35,000. Go to our event that's going to be scheduled in January the 18th. Tickets are $25 a person. At that event, I will be laying out my entire platform, as well as listening to you, the voters. And I intend to have some special guests who will come in from the small business community, as well as activists coming in and speaking about current issues that are coming in. But I will listen. I intend in the coming weeks, as my campaign progresses, to form an advisory, several groups, one with veterans, another one with seniors, small business owners, where I will be listening to what they have to say, what is going on with their groups, not only to prepare myself in this campaign, but to be prepared when elected to Congress to represent everybody. And along that lines, I'm bringing in people from the Muslim community, people from the Buddhist community, from the Hispanic community, who will serve as an advisory board where they will go ahead and put me in tune with their issues. I am for the dreamers. My mother's family is of a Hispanic background. My grandfather came here from Mexico, married my grandmother, had my mother and my aunts and my uncles. I do have Jewish blood as well as Irish blood in me as well, so I'm a Heinz 57, I guess you could say.
Thank you.
And
like myself.
But I do understand through my parents and my aunts and my uncles the prejudice that their ancestors went through. So I do understand that that is still going on, and that needs to change, but it needs to start with your representatives. And I intend to fight every step of the way. I intend to win this with your help, your vote, your contributions, and we'll come back to you, John, if I'm not even elected, and come back in touch with you on what is going on.
I'd appreciate that.
And I will stay focused. I will have listening tours. If elected to CD3, I will have town halls like it used to be from one end of the district. And for those of you that live out of state, friends and family and people who are watching this, you can make a contribution too. I'm running for federal office. And my concern is my district, state of Nevada, and my country. And we've got to start now. So any of you in California, Illinois, New York, who are not residents here, who are seeing what I'm talking about, if you want to see change in your states and your communities, click on to Act Blue. Make a contribution. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's bring in people who want to make a difference here in Nevada and all across the country. And you know what? We're going to change things, because we're going to get away from the established candidates and the establishment. We're going to go back to where it was when I was growing up in the
Power to the people.
60s. Yes.
Telling my age now, I'm sorry.
But that's what we've got to get back to. It's gotten out of hand. And so that's why I'm running. I'm also, if I can add this on.
Please do. I'm
a great believer in rescuing animals. I've rescued cats and dogs and pigeons and rabbits, and I am for animal rights. I'm against what the Republicans did recently, was to go ahead and start hunting and shooting from the planes.
The a lot of localities, speaking of that, here we go off on a tangent again. A lot of localities have outlawed pet shops from selling pets as long as there are animals in the local shelters.
Yes.
Now, I think that we got close on that, but
it got changed. And let me tell you, it's if you go to a puppy mill, if you rescue a puppy
don't
mill
even
dog,
get me started on that.
It is
Yeah.
sad because these are dogs or cats that spend the next 10, 15 years being breeded over and over and over again and live in dirty cages, and then once they're through, they put them to sleep.
Yeah, that sucks.
And that's not, so we've got to stop these puppy mills, get those dogs out of puppy mills, find them homes, and just stop this breeding. My dogs that I've rescued, one, an Akita, was used as a bait dog with pit bulls.
Oh, geez.
And my other dog at home, two other dogs, are pit bulls, and they get along fine.
Yeah.
And
it's not the animals.
No,
it's the owners.
It's the owners. But I do need your help. This is a serious time we're in. If we don't get it right in 18, you know what? We won't get it right in 20.
Yep.
So I ask you to please listen to what I'm talking about. We're now at the end of 17. Campaign season is starting, and now is the time. Make your contribution, buy your tickets, and if you haven't registered to vote, register to vote. Don't let this election go by. And for members of various clubs, your clubs cannot endorse, which is a good thing.
Right.
Because we should not be endorsing until after the primary. Whatever Democrats in our party win, and I hope I'm the one, is who we back up. But as members of a club, you can go out. You can get behind your candidate. And the time is now, because if you're passionate about me or you're passionate about John here, this is your time. This is your time to get behind your candidate, to make your contribution, to see that whether it's me or who your candidate is, wins this primary. And let's get this country moving.
And maybe I didn't hear you, but the fundraiser that you're having on the 18th of January, where is that?
That is at a location. It's on East Sahara and Commercial Center. It's called Fiesta Hall.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's not in my district. It's actually in CD1. But the owner of Fiesta Hall is actually working with the campaign. And, we're a grassroots campaign. So there may be situations sometimes in any candidate who's running that an event may be held in another area, because there are businesses who like to participate or like to get involved. And so Fiesta Hall has gone ahead and let us use their...
Cool.
We do have more events coming up, as well as in supporters' homes.
If you'll pass them on to me, I'll make sure that the word gets out.
Okay.
So.
But the main one is the one on the 18th, and I hope to see you there. But get your tickets now, because tickets are going fast. And you don't even have to live in Nevada. If you want to buy a ticket because you're supporting the campaign, do it. And this is important. And I will be back here, John. I really have to say, I have to applaud you, because what you're doing is terrific.
I hope that you will help me spread the word.
I definitely will.
That if you are a candidate or you are planning on becoming a candidate, please contact me. That's John at WWDBTV.com. And I'm happy to provide you with a time. As you can see, hopefully this is a safe environment. I'm not here to blindside anybody, ambush anybody. Our goal here at WWDB-TV is to educate the voters and the viewers so that they know who the candidates are and who they're voting for. And Richard, I appreciate you coming in.
I thank you so much.
And,
my pleasure.
Best of luck, and I hope that I hope you win this thing, and we'll see what kind of cool things you can do.
Thank you, John, and
Okay.
I look forward to seeing you again.
You will.
Okay.
All right. And I thank you all for watching, and come back again and see some of the other candidates. And that's it. We're done. Bye.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.